I'm Gab, he's Jules. Blue skies, or maybe not, maybe it's more grayish skies over West London, but not over North London, because Tottenham Hotspur come from 2 goals down against Manchester City. That's going to be our main thing. That's not the only thing that's going on. Of course, Real Madrid booed before, during, and after, and all the way into the showers, despite winning. Bayern Munich dropping points. How about that? Liverpool, Ekitike, convincing. And of course, Arsenal just keep on rolling. But let's start at the Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah.
I was watching this on television. I was not there. Even the commentators talked about how weird the atmosphere was, how down the Tottenham fans were throughout the first half, even before they went to go down.
Yeah.
And then they go 2 goals down. And then you figure, okay, this is it, right? There's no way you let a 2-goal lead slip. Certainly not against this team.
Yeah.
Then at halftime, Romero goes off. I don't know if he was injured or he was on the naughty step or whatever. Didn't seem like it, you said. All of a sudden, it's a back 4 with Palhinha next to Manba and Dragusin. And to be fair to Spurs, they have 1 billion players out.
Yeah, and Gray right back as well.
And Gray, and you just say this is over. This ain't going to happen, right?
Although, we've seen Spurs being really average or abject even in first halves before, and then reacting really well in second halves against Villa in the Cup, against United in the league, against Fulham in the league as well. And they didn't always win after or even drawn after. But I think this is what they've done. This game sums up really well the season. They're not very good, this Spurs team. I don't think Frank is the right guy for this team to take them forward anyway. They can't be consistent at all, but at times they either ride their luck a little bit or just get a bit more energy like they need to and a bit more intensity. But for me, this game was just like first half so bad, like we've seen so many times with them this season, and second half better to the point that they still managed somehow because they scored 2 goals over 0.6 xg.
Let's
not forget that. But yeah, it's a good point for them, although it's not enough. 1 point, they're still 14th in the table.
On the flip side, we have to go there. I think this is where at some point somebody, maybe Pep himself, or maybe talk to the other Pep, we have to have a conversation about what's going on with City. Because they may be second in the table, and that's great. They're going to finish the season. They're on pace to finish the season with 74 points. 74 points is the lowest points total since his second season, or since his first season.
When they
didn't
win anything, when he finished third,
right? And he had just arrived. Last year, we said, okay, it's an aberration. It's weird. 4 league defeats in a row, blah, blah, blah. No Rodri. Team needs to be freshened up. Okay, bro. You freshened up the team. And this season, you have injuries. You change things a bit with Pep Linders, whatever. But you still let a 2-goal lead slip. And it should have been a 3-goal lead. In fact, not Vicario, I thought, made a huge save off of Shirky in the first half. And we can get to the incidents. And I'll tell you right now, we'll talk about it later. I don't think the first goal, the gay... I mean, I don't think that should have stood. I think that's a foul.
Yeah, I agree. And Pep agreed.
And I don't even think there's any conversation there. But for a guy who talked about control and so on, and you see him afterwards, and especially the post-game press conferences, it looks like something's wrong. Like something's wrong with him.
Yeah, I think he's probably very unhappy with a lot of things, and maybe the fact that he can't fix this team right now, because there's one step forward sometimes because they can play very well at times and do good things collectively, individually, and then there will be 2 step backs either 10 or 15 minutes later or in the next game if you've got a bit of control in one game, for example. There's no consistency again. It's 1 win in 6 in the Premier League, and nobody seems to say how average this is or how bad this is for Guardiola Man City team, but that's the reality.
I think it's because they're second in the table and everybody wants to have... we want to have a proper title race, right?
But it's a bad season. I've said that so many times. This City are not good. Aston Villa are not good. Brentford are not very good. Spurs are not good. Manchester United are not very good either. The teams are not very good in this league, apart from Arsenal.
And Fulham.
Fulham are okay. But this is not another Barca team from 2009.
It could well be something as simple as that. I think in this game, you learn more about Manchester City than you learn about Tottenham. I've reached a point with Tottenham where 11 players out, chaos, blah, blah, blah. There's no point. And we don't know if Frank's any good now with this group of players or whatever. You kind of, draw a line under it. But it's City, I think, who are far more interesting about what's going wrong here. We're going to break that down more on the Gavin Jules podcast. All right, Jules, I'm going to come out and tell you how I see Frank, and I wrote it today in the musings column. Tottenham there's new people in charge, and I think that's important to know. These are not the people who hired Thomas Frank. They're not wedded to Thomas Frank.
Well, no, they are.
They're what?
Vinay, Johan Lange, they appointed him. They were there when he was...
No, I'm talking about the owners, not the...
Oh, just Daniel Levy. Wait, but Daniel Levy is the only one not there from the people who were hired him.
Sorry. With all the due respect for Vinay and whatever, right? It was Daniel Levy who made the commitment. Like, if they wanted to say...
They were also part of the process.
Yeah, they're part of the process, but Vinay's the chief executive, right?
Yeah.
It's not his club. He's not...
No, I know, but
he's got a different job. If he wanted to say, like, it's not like I staked my career on, yes, Thomas Frank is the answer, right?
Sure.
It's very easy for them, I think, to go to say, all right, let's try something different, right?
Yeah, I think if they hadn't picked him, they would have sacked him already.
Okay. They have nothing to play for in the league. They're not going to get relegated.
No.
There's no chance. I mean, I'll just come out and say this. And I think it's a weird league. Everybody's dropping points, but they're still far enough from the European places that it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, no.
So I think at this stage, the strategy is accept the fact that the season's done and assess the players as best you can, the guys you have, figure out how they fit, who you like, who you don't like. I mean, and it's not all Frank's fault. It's not Frank's fault necessarily that they have like 11 guys out, right? Every game, people they drop like
they've
flies.
had injuries a lot, yeah.
I feel for him a little bit because now he's saying silly things like, "Oh, look, Solanke being injured is like Holland being injured." I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, but he's been talking rubbish all season long.
There's clearly like I don't know. He's in the mind frame to fix it, and it's again not entirely his fault. I think the strategy has to be do what you can in the Champions League. It is a knockout competition, right? Stuff can happen.
Yeah,
you're through to the round of 16 already. You'll make some money there. You get a good draw. Who knows? Quarterfinal, semifinal. Why not? Right?
No,
but you don't know.
They're not good enough.
Stranger things have happened.
No.
Okay, but all right. But at least try for that because that is the only thing.
You're right. Yeah, try.
That's all you have left, right?
Yeah.
There's no other competitions are going to win this year. Right?
I'm not sure it's acceptable for a club like Tottenham to finish.
No, I'm not suggesting it's acceptable. That's why.
So then why don't you change now? Because he's not going to take you much further than 14th or 15th.
I think the reason you don't change now, and it's a similar point that I made for Manchester United, is the range of coaches. You have to think carefully about who you want next, how he's going to fit into with your recruitment strategy, and the range of coaches who are available right now is going to be smaller and it's going to be more difficult, and it's harder to do things quietly than if you give yourself until June. In other words, if you give yourself
but you
more
could do
time,
what United did: have an interim coach until the end of the season, and then at the end of the season, assess your options.
I think the problem with the interim coach is the reason is, first of all, like United, there's a big difference. United have stuff to play for. Spurs do not.
But it doesn't matter. There's clearly something wrong with Thomas Frank. As you mentioned, the atmosphere, the fans are not on board. I'm not sure how much the players are on board. I know it was better in the second half. I'm not really sure they buy into the thing. He can't get them to have that consistency, even in terms of just pure energy and effort. So for me, you're just wasting a bit of time now with him that you don't really need.
But if you get an interim coach, it
would bring more positivity. If it works out like Carrick at United, look at the difference that makes. It would be exactly the same.
Right, but United have something to play for. Spurs do not. That's the difference.
But you just mentioned the Champions League they have to play for.
Right, but I would argue that actually the way Frank plays, when he gets it right, it's probably easier for him in some ways in the Champions League where I can sit and play in the counter and release, play back three if I need to, if my guys are ever fit again. Hope that Vicario makes some miracle saves, hit on the counter, that kind of thing. Like, he's got you that far in the Champions League. At least give him a shot there, right?
Yeah,
keep that narrative going there. On the goal, all right, we both agree on this. We don't need to have a debate. I was surprised that they didn't make Pep Guardiola did a little bit, but I was surprised that there wasn't a bigger outcry because every day of the week the Solanke kicks into Gay's foot,
Yeah,
and you can see that, and you have VAR people reviewing it. What?
I don't know. It's weird because the Benfica goal, the Trubin goal, obviously Bellingham gets the ball off Oresens, and then the referee blew the whistle for Benfica to have the free kick there. I'm not sure who's right, who's wrong. I thought it was a foul.
But of course, it's a foul. You can't kick into if Jules.
Well, no, but-
if you're
but-
dribbling with the ball, right, and I come across you, and my leg goes ahead of you,
Yeah.
and you kick into my leg as you're trying to kick the ball, you are fouling me, right?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Benfica got a free kick when the foul
Right,
was
but it's
never.
fine. But we agree on that. But
But
that,
no,
that can't
when
be overturned.
When Solanke is about to hit the ball, he doesn't know Gay is going to come. He doesn't know that Gay's leg is not. So it's not Solanke hitting Gay. It's Gay put his foot there when Solanke is about to hit the ball. There's nothing. Solanke can't stop his movement.
no,
when
I'm not disputing that.
That's why they didn't give the foul, because they didn't think
But
that it
that's
was
just an
Solanke.
incorrect interpretation of the rules.
Well, no, that's the rule. Like, the rule is that there's nothing Solanke can do to avoid Gehi there, because Gehi put his foot in front of the shooting leg of Solanke.
Right.
Right? That's why they didn't give the foul. VAR looked at the goal.
And VAR made the wrong decision.
I think VAR made the decision about the fact that there's nothing Solanke can do to
That's
avoid
right.
Gehi.
That's
That's
fine.
why the goal was given.
But
Whether we think it's wrong, but clearly the
you
rule
don't-
isn't.
That's not how you referee. You referee on what happens, not whether somebody has an alternative outcome. I don't know. It may feel
Yeah, I
weird
thought
that
it
way,
was not a goal too.
But all right, back to
What about the Scorpion goal?
now Giroud's was
mean,
better.
Giroud is better, but it's still pretty incredible. And I know that's the only thing he can do and hope for the best.
I mean,
But it's still, wow.
well, you talk about that, right? So if I'm Pep, I'm beaten by a goal that I don't think should stand.
Yeah.
And I'm beating by this guy pulling this out of his backside. Only other real chance of the second half was the Destiny one where, I have one of the world's highest paid goalkeepers there who gets me out of jail there. But then what?
That's it.
Why? In the second half, I looked at the XG and the XG suggested that City still had chances in the second half.
They had no shots on target, though.
I don't remember them. This is the thing. It didn't feel that way.
They had 2 shots, and that's it. They stopped playing at halftime. I don't know if it's a lack of fitness. I think there's a lack of leadership for the reaction after the first goal, really, because you knew after the first goal that they were not going to react, and they didn't react. They reacted a little bit after the second goal because they had to go, but even that was very sterile, I thought. But for me, there's clearly a lack of leadership where I'm not sure where he should come from anyway. If it's Haaland, if it's Bernardo.
Gay just arrived. Maybe he can become one.
I don't know, but neither of them on that game felt like the leaders anyway.
And we didn't mention the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Surely Rodri needs to be the lead. I mean, if you talk about this intangible leadership aspect, because it's very obvious to the eyes that City aren't playing well. I don't care how often they win or whatever.
Well. Yeah.
He can fiddle with the setup, fiddle with the formation. Semenyo more central, supposedly, but I don't think he was from at least what I could see on television. Right now, Cherki's getting them out of jail.
Yeah.
Right? That's effectively what's happening. It's weird because last season when they hit the crisis, part of the narrative was Pep has never been in this situation before, so he doesn't know how to react. He's never had his backside kick. And now he did last year.
Yeah.
And he sort of found a way out of it last year. But this year we're back to square one. And I'm wondering, is there something deeper going on?
I think it's the last season. And I wonder if, because he knows it's the last season, I know he's got another year, obviously, on the contract, but I don't think he will be here next season. I really wonder if
do you think he's decided he's not
I think he knows, I think he knows. And I think, to go back to your point that you made at the start of the show, I think what we see in press conferences, even what we see at times on the touchline, maybe he's a bit telling, and maybe it's just I think I've got nobody told me. I just think he won't be there next season. I would love him to stay because I think he's obviously amazing. I don't think he will be there, but I wonder if there's a bit of his body language that is telling about that, and the fact that not that he doesn't want to be there now, obviously not, because there's still a lot of things to fight for. There's a League Cup final maybe coming up. There's the Champions League. There's still the league. 6 points is not that much of a gap either. Blah blah blah. All of that. I don't know. To me, it looks there's something not right on the pitch, but what he cannot clearly get them to do, and that must frustrate the hell out of him because we know how he is as a coach. And to not find solutions, not finding answers must be really, really annoying for him. But also in his, off the field, in his own communication, I find the sarcasm that he uses every time a bit strange, to be fair. So I don't know. But you're right. There's clearly something not working out.
It was also odd. He missed the pre-match press conference too. He went to Barcelona to accept the prize. I think that was the day before, and he didn't come back in time. I think, which again, it's kind of,
I don't know.
That I'm not suggesting he's checked out, but
no, no, me neither. I would love him to stay there. I just feel there's something I feel like it won't be there next season.
Yeah, I don't know. This harkens back to when I sat down with Pep more than 20 years ago, when I saw him in Doha when he was still playing. He was thoroughly depressed, and he said there's no place for him in the world of football and players like him anymore. And, this is going to be the end. He's here for the money and that. And then we know that actually he came back and he changed the world of football.
Yeah.
But it did give off that kind of ultra negative vibe.
He can be tormented at times, with all the football and everything he wants to do. If the team is not doing what he wants, you could see on his face. Remember last season, the famous scratches on his head, and how difficult this whole period was, not just when they hit bad form and the crisis in October, November, December, but also when they lost to Real Madrid in the playoff of the Champions League, the way they did, and all of that. So I don't know. I think this is another tough season, and 2 tough seasons in a row has just never happened. Even one only happened once. 2 in a row, it's difficult, I think.
I wonder too, this whole thing that he does with, changing his number 2s time and again. I don't know. I wonder if the solution isn't bring somebody back who he's worked with before. I have no idea what Juan Malillo is.
Yeah, no.
I do know that other bald guy who was at Chelsea, Enzo Maresca, probably has time on his hands right now.
Yeah, true.
I'm just throwing this stuff out there.
Yeah, no, but I think
this because this is a massive underachievement. And if I move Viana right now, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is my first year here. This guy's having issues. How do I talk to him? Do I have the authority to get involved?
Yeah, true.
Does Ferran have the authority?
But maybe he also misses Cheeky Begiristain. Maybe Pep doesn't feel like this is the club that he built with them and took to the top of the top of the top of the top. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it as well. Maybe it's also the fact that, I don't know. Imagine this club and this team can't really afford a second season without any trophies. Or maybe it's just the end of this cycle. De Bruyne was left last summer, but Bernardo is going to leave this summer. Guardiola might leave as well, and maybe it would feel like the end of this cycle, and maybe Hugo Viana is already preparing the next one, the next cycle.
Well, I think he really has. Look at all the signings they made in the last 2 years, right?
But maybe going back to assistants, because Fergie changed his number 2s all the time, right? And that worked because I think in a way that just brought more ideas and different methods every time, whereas Wenger kept the same ones throughout the whole career, and maybe that just didn't work out the same way. But maybe part of the problem is that, Kolo Touré, I'm not sure in this conversation, but certainly Pep Blinders on what he wants to do and maybe what the team had been doing before with Guardiola. How do you marry the two? Is that even marriable? I don't know if that's a word. Can you actually mix the Blinders philosophy or what he wants to bring to this team and the Guardiola methodology and what he's brought to this team for 10 years? And maybe the fact that they are so vulnerable, unbalanced, not really sure what to do at times, in possession, out of possession, is maybe the result and the consequence of those two kind of different worlds in a way.
That's definitely a theory, because you look at kind of what changed, and that is one of the obvious changes. But, Rodri is now fit, okay?
Yeah.
He may not be sparkling, but he's fit, right?
Yeah.
You look at what's different from last year. Rodri should be a plus. Blinders, you assume, should be a plus, right? So I don't know. It's a tough one to figure out. Certainly, it feels like this is one of the worst second place teams that, or one of the. Not going to say worst because they can hit.
No.
They can hit
still got-
incredible
yeah,
highs.
of course.
One of the most underachieving, and I think
Yeah.
that's the part that's really kind of disappointing here. And you keep talking
Inconsistent,
about
yeah.
the bad champions, the bad Premier League. They haven't been good in the Champions League either.
No,
It's
very
been
good, no.
inertia, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway, we'll see how this
And who
unfolds.
they play at the weekend? Oh, yeah, away at Liverpool on Sunday. So
Yeah.
let's
Just
see
what the
it.
doctor
Yeah.
ordered. And thank you, by the way, for not mentioning the 115 charges. Oh, look, I just did.